Please be seated. Yes, I am in a new space. Normally, I preach from the center, but after much ado of not being able to be heard, I have seated. And so I think there is even a bit of this story about me in this. There's a little bit of me in this story, right? I too can change. So here we have the story, amazing story about this blind man and his interaction with a community and with Jesus. And I offer you this story as a story of transformation, of what can happen in the life of a person and how we too can be transformed. And so what do we have here? There is a blind man who is sitting on the side of the road, and he hears Jesus. He hears Jesus' voice. And so he starts crying out, Jesus, Jesus, Son of Nazareth, help me. Help me, Jesus, this man says. And so a group of people who are near him, what do they say to him? Shh, quiet. Don't stir things up. Why? Why are you making a ruckus? Shh. Things are okay the way they are. Don't stir things up. Don't ask any questions. But Jesus hears. Jesus hears the man's voice. He hears this voice and he says, bring him to me. Let him come near me. And so there are people in this group who say, take heart, go, Jesus is calling you, go and encounter Jesus. So in our midst, when we're crying out to Jesus, we may encounter people say, no, everything's fine, don't stir things up, keep things low, lay low. But there are others in our midst who don't say that, who say an encouraging word. If you're ready for change, if you're ready to be transformed, if you're ready to be in encounter and in relationship and deeper relationship with Jesus, go. And so they cheer us on and they walk alongside and they help us and they guide us to where Jesus may be. So then what happens at this encounter? When he is given that opportunity to encounter Jesus, the first thing this man does is he throws off his cloak, throws it off, and exposes himself. And so a cloak can be many things. And I just want you to just think about in the first century during the Palestinian world, a cloak was not something that was easily replaced. They were expensive. It took a lot of resources to have. Not everybody had one. There wasn't superstores and malls where you could just find your new cloak for the day or for the week and different colors for different seasons. Oh no, once you had one, you took care of that. And yet this man was willing to take it off and dispose of it without any care and without any worry that he may not find it back among the crowd. Because you know what? Others may pick it up right away. As soon as he dropped it, somebody else may have taken it. And he was not afraid. But he was willing to be vulnerable and to walk and have this encounter with Jesus. He recognized that some of that cloakness could be holding him back, could be keeping him from fully engaging with Jesus. You see, we are celebrating today a special day, a completion of Sacred Ground series, where 18 people walk side by side, to hear difficult stories, learn about themselves in a meaningful way, not always pleasant with what they discovered, and yet they were willing to take off that cloak Take off that cloak to encounter a new way, to encounter Jesus in a different way. And so that is what one of the things we are celebrating today, because this is what it really is, right? To encounter Jesus in a meaningful way is to take off that cloak, to come face to face with our Creator. But the beautiful thing is this. The man says, when Jesus asks them, "What do you want me to do for you?" The man says, "I want to see again." This means that the man had seen before. And I argue that the reason why this man saw before is because we all have seen before clearly, because we all have been made in the image of God. And so when we are born seeing clearly, not just physically, but spiritually. We are able to see clearly the other. No prejudice, no fear. I mean, think of babies. They don't see the way we see now. They can see clearly other humans' intention and love, and they're compassionate and forgiving and loving. And that is the way we were all made. But brothers and sisters, this is not the world that we live in, is it? And we can't even see that sometimes because we are so steeped in biases and prejudices and fear that we are not even able to see sometimes that something is amiss. But it is through this walking together that this 18 members of our congregation walked in the series, that they were able first and foremost to acknowledge that there's something fuzzy, something not quite right, something not quite clear. And through conversations and prayer and learning, this community was able to see more clearly. Now, let's not fool ourselves, friends. We have not arrived. But we are on the road. And so this is an invitation for all of us to call on Jesus to help us see better, help us be able to see what we are not able to see, and help us find those friends amongst us to cheer us on, to get closer to Jesus, to be transformed by Jesus. And as the collect says, so that we may love what God commands. Because sometimes what God commands is not quite easy and not quite fun and not quite fast. But may we be able to be in a community where we can continue to see clearer how God wants us to see. And so sometimes that what we cannot see is our own blessings, all the blessings that God has given us: power, status, position, time, talent, and yes, treasure, money. So that this invitation and this transformation is for all of the things that are in our world, in our lives, and what we need to transform, what we need to see clearer. And I invite you to also take this opportunity of how this can help you see clear and how you are stewarding all of these blessings that God has given us. And during this campaign, the stewardship campaign, as we are working towards for our congregation and for our church, that we're all invited to see clear those blessings so that with clear sightedness, we can better discern how to be best stewards of our time, our talent, and our treasure. Amen.